Howdy, 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 my name is Anachi Sasuke, and welcome back to Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. In the last episode, we did these things, and in this episode, we're going to do these things, starting with this one. 761's frame is to be contained in a standard containment chamber located at Site-77, because of course it is. No net is to be attached to 761, except for testing purposes. The testing chamber is to be suspended 25 meters from any other surface, only accessible via elevator. What? Okay, I think I misunderstood it as you have to go up an elevator to use the trampoline. Any materials or documents relating to 761 have been stored in Site-77's non-anomalous documentation area. Alright. SCP-761 is a steel trampoline frame, 2 meters in diameter and 3.5 meters tall. It shows no manufacturer's mark apart from the tag on the bottom of the original net, which reads Proto 5. Any solid object impacting 761's surface with a momentum exceeding 250 kilograms by meter per second will vanish upon impact. Testing has determined that the object is instantaneously transported to a random location up to 15 meters away while retaining its momentum. That sounds bad. This effect has resulted in a number of users being entombed and asphyxiating. The subject transported by 761 does not appear to displace any material upon relocation, suggesting matter replacement based on volume. The location to which 761 displaces the material is not known at this time. 761 was recovered from a residential home in blank, Indiana, the same city 2812 was recovered from, where it had been in use during a child's birthday party. Local police had been called to the home when several children using 761 had been subjected to its anomalous effect. Foundation agents were able to cover up the incident, issuing Class B amnestics to witnesses and relatives. During follow-up containment operations, an address was found leading to a party supply store from which 761 had been rented. The company in question was investigated and found not to stock trampolines. Security camera recordings show 761 being sold in front of the store by an employee whose vehicle was recovered from behind the store. Interviews with the subject indicate that she had obtained 761 from a local waste dump and had no knowledge of its properties. However, several documents recovered from the vehicle indicated otherwise. The subject was not detained and has been designated a person of interest with attendant remote monitoring. It has been found that subjects affected by 2403 are not subject to 761's anomalous effect. Addendum. Except from a recovered document. The document in question appeared to regard 761's development, but was heavily damaged by water and age. The following sections are the largest legible portions of the text. Tests appear to indicate steel was the best material due to its durability. The safety features have seen some good progress in its prototyping stage, and we hope to see them implemented by June. Bernard thinks it'll be a real hit, and I agree. We have a prototype. Jason tossed a cat into the trampoline from 30 feet, and it just appeared like 10 feet away. Now it was stuck in the ground, but it was alive. Boss Man says we're moving on to the more advanced tests soon. I hope we aren't being too hasty, but this is some exciting stuff. We started limited human testing today. We had a group of 10 boys and 10 girls together, and they seemed to be pretty excited. We had them jumping on the prototype, and they seemed pretty happy about it. During displacement, they were a little woozy, but fine. The only bad bit was when one kid got his foot stuck in a... I feel like I'm going to be sick. We were testing today. I don't know what went wrong, but one of the kids just disappeared. We dug around everywhere, and you know where she was? In the concrete. We need to stop. This is wrong. I killed a kid today. I let them kill. They did it wrong. I warned them this would happen. Do they listen to me? No. They go out and sell them anyways. They aren't safe anymore. We know this. All it was supposed to do was take kids off if they were too big or got unruly. But they all go under. It's killing them and nobody's stopping. It's gone. Well then, there's some more of them. They sound terrifying. I wonder if they sound as terrifying as the Immortal Iron Maiden. Because that sounds like it's either badass because of the band, or terrifying because... Okay, it's safe. I guess because maybe it doesn't move by itself. The Immortal Iron Maiden is held inside a storage crate at Site Blank. As 762 does not appear to be dangerous to anyone not placed in it, no further precautions are required. Anyone wishing to experiment with... Does it make people live forever but poke them full of holes first? Does it like drain their blood and then they become immortal? Because that sucks. Anyone wishing to experiment with it must first get authorization from Dr. Wrights. One is a torture device similar to the infamous Iron Maiden of Nuremberg. It was recovered in 19 blank from a box in the basement of Data Expunged in blank Austria, because of course Austria would have something like that. When opened, 762 was found to have a male human inside it, now known as 2. When found inside 1, 2 had the device's large spikes embedded in its flesh, but when removed from 1, all of the wounds healed instantly. 2 was found to be completely catatonic, but otherwise in decent health except for several rotten teeth and a large scar on his left arm. Given the unique properties of 1, it may be impossible to determine how long 2 was in the device. Dating on the device shows that it dates back to the late 15th century, so it is possible that 2 has been in the device for centuries. Any person placed inside 1 appears to enter a state of suspended animation. Subjects no longer need food, water, or even air when inside 1. Subjects also appear to be immune to the effects of disease or injury when inside 1, including the large wounds inflicted by 1 itself. They do, however, remain conscious, and the experience is described as very painful. Once subject is removed from 1, all wounds inflicted by the device are instantly healed. Since all physiological processes except for cognition are suspended while in 1, it seems likely that a person placed in it will not age. So, on the one hand, I was right. I was spot on about what that does. On the other hand, that's kind of like one of the really early episodes of Night Vale where the kids stuck their face through a portal and then they popped out thousands of years old but still alive. So the guy is probably cripplingly insane due to the fact that his body is immortal and the exact same age it was before it got pumped full of holes. But his brain didn't stop. His brain has just been active while he was in there, full of holes, for at least 600 years. Well, 500 years. The 15th century was the 1400s, wasn't it? 600 years! So, next up is the human Beowulf cluster. I assume Beowulf is something other than the guy from the poem. I don't know what the hell that is. It's safe, though. 763 is contained in sub-basement G of the now defunct blank blank Veal production facility on the outskirts of blank, Illinois. After the discovery of 763, the Foundation acquired the facility, which was secured and designated biological site blank. The facility is still supplied with liquid feed solution previously used to nourish veal calves, though only enough to maintain 763's growth. The feeding system is established by the facility's previous owner, Klaus Blank, established by Klaus, has been documented and should be maintained unless a more efficient feeding method is devised. If any components are added to 763, the dosage of nutrient solution must be scaled up accordingly. Consult document 763 blank for the volume and release time of solution to be provided per component. Because of 763's ability to absorb human organic matter into itself, it is vitally important that no personnel touch it. Description: 763 is a mass of human organic tissue occupying approximately 300 square meters of space with an estimated mass of over 4,000 kilograms. It is mostly an irregular configuration of tissue, with the exception of A. I don't like the sound of that. Much of the mass of 763 is muscular tissue with an abundance of blood vessels. This muscle tissue is highly atrophied and non-motile, though, despite lack of use, there is a great amount of blood flow at all times. Most of the structure is relatively thin at around 10 centimeters thick, allowing the blood flow to diffuse the high heat generated by the central mass, which is a large lump of approximately 2 meters high. The blood flow is provided by a large central collection of hearts, and a number of other hearts arrayed throughout 763's structure. All the organs of the human body are present in 763, located in a relatively even distribution throughout the system. The lungs are fed by a number of mouth-like round holes in the skin. The feeding tubes pass directly through 763 as though the flesh grew around them as its mass expanded. Researchers believe that the blood vessels and organs are essentially a support system for what has been designated the cluster. The cluster is an interconnected network of 37 human brains of varying sizes connected by chains of cells resembling neurons. This array is enclosed by a multi-layered arrangement of bone growths. The bones closely resemble ribs, though they exhibit offshoots that allow them to interlace into a tighter structure. Initial analysis revealed a far higher than normal amount of neurotransmitter activity. I guess 37 brains will do that! Over time, the individual brains enter a resting state, with neural activity consistent with REM sleep, and time periods consistent with a polyphasic sleep pattern. This resting state lasts approximately 45 minutes. At any given time, there are 5 brains in this resting state, while the remaining 32 are in the active state. A collection of bone and nerve fibers resembling a spinal column approximately 3 meters in length extends from the cluster to join with the spinal column of A. A appears to be the body of the facility's former owner, Klaus. The body is only partially absorbed into the rest of 763, retaining all of its presumably original organs and general shape and structure. The data has shown no sign of movement or further absorption. It should be noted that other absorbed subjects have been completely integrated with 763 within 3 months. When it was discovered, A was in a seated position in which it remains. There was a table in front of A with a sheaf of papers on them, completely decayed from the warm, damp conditions of sub-basement G. A's hand held a pencil apparently poised to write. Any previous writing has been lost with the degradation of the paper. A's facial expression of one is intense concentration, or perhaps pain, with features contorted and eyes closed. Unlike the rest of the muscular tissue in 763, A is not atrophied, despite having exhibited no movement to date. Researchers assume A remains unabsorbed to function as an interface with the rest of 763. To date, no stimulus has provoked a response from A other than autonomic reflexes and immune system response. Since its discovery by the Foundation, 763 has incorporated biological material from 7 humans, 2 security personnel, 1 medical technician, and 3 disposable dudes, and Dr. Blank. Direct skin contact with it causes tiny barbs to hook into the skin and administer a paralytic neurotoxin. As soon as the subject is paralyzed, digestive acids are secreted and begin to dissolve the skin where contact was initiated. Once this is done, the skin will begin to heal at an accelerated rate with the subject's skin now bonding with 763. This process of dissolving and rehealing is repeated over and over, with the subject becoming progressively more integrated into 763. After the subject is mostly absorbed, their organs begin to migrate to different areas, taking their place and used for throughout the network as needed. In some cases, organs that are seemingly not needed are digested and used for additional nutrition. Most subjects have been fully absorbed within 2 months. Dr. Blank's organs did not stop their movement until more than 3 months had passed. Researchers believe that this longer time was due to the inner cage around the cluster moving to accommodate the addition of Dr. Blank's brain. To date, this is the only time at which a brain has been added, with all others digested. Incident Report 1A. While securing the premises, security personnel J. Blank and M. Blank failed to check in for their scheduled updates. A second team was deployed and discovered J and M unresponsive and in the preliminary stages of absorption. Attempts to extricate personnel resulted in the deaths of both staff members, as well as a medical technician who made direct skin contact during surgery. Incident Report 12G. After noticing irregularities in the radio updates coming from biological site Blank, a security team was dispatched to investigate. Armed response team Omicron 3 discovered all site personnel poisoned with the exception of the head researcher, Dr. Blank, who was found mostly incorporated into 763. Apparently, he had made a large incision in 763 and folded himself inside. A note was found near Dr. Blank's discarded clothing, and the note is reproduced below. I have to know. 6 months and not a single inkling of what's going on in there. I don't give a blank and a blank about organ function and immunodeficiency. I need to know what it's thinking. I need to know. I will know. Despite initial desire to terminate the biological components of Dr. Blank for his betrayal, Armed Response Team Omicron 3 was instructed to desist after replacement research personnel discovered that Dr. Blank's brain was being incorporated into the cluster. The additional research data gained by observing this process was deemed more important than revenge. Addendum 13L. Request by researchers that A be provided with replacement writing materials in the event that it should attempt to write is currently pending. Okie dokie. That brings us to the Obscene Show, which I imagine will be Euclid? Nope, never mind, it's safe, and it looks like it's puppets. Like Punch and Judy, except probably much worse. 764 is to be kept in Hazard Vault MT Blank, with unlocking mechanisms only operable by 2 Class 1 researchers or higher working in tandem. No personnel are to enter without proper safety precautions, and no personnel are to be in Hazard Vault MT unless under the direct orders of Level 4 personnel, or as a part of an approved destruction attempt. Personnel entering Hazard Vault MT are to wear the locking gauntlets in Containment Supply 313 size 14, and the key is not to be brought into the vault. The gauntlets physically prevent attempts to don 764 due to their size, and therefore permit 764 to be handled with a modicum of safety. 764 is a pair of Punch and Judy puppets that display no exceptional characteristics upon visual inspection. When observed by individuals with no barrier between them and 1 or 2, a compulsion comes over a person to put on a show, utilizing the puppets, even if none present have any skill, talent, or training regarding puppeteering. All others feel an overwhelming urge to watch the show regarding all events taking place at the height of entertainment until the show is over. As the subject dons 1 and 2, and no circumstances have 1 and 2 been seen placed on separate performers, Any individual without physical barriers between themselves and 764 will find themselves compelled to sit and watch the show. The show begins as a normal punch and shooting show, with light slapstick comedy and violence occurring between the puppets. After a period of 3 to 5 minutes, an individual will be chosen from the audience and brought forward, participating in the show, in the part of the show, typically playing as a police officer or constable. But in Incident 34D, the subject played as E-Class Agent Jonathan Blank, an individual who was part of the team responsible for recovering 764. A lighthearted exchange will occur between the volunteer and the puppets before the violent slapstick resumes, but after this exchange, both puppets will brandish appropriately sized weapons and begin to viciously attack the volunteer. The remaining audience will find this even more amusing than the previous antics of the puppets, and even the volunteer will laugh until one inflicts the final and invariably fatal wound, quipping, "That's the way to do it!" Another short delay will ensue as the puppets banter until another volunteer is brought forward, and the process repeated, with the roles assumed by those coming forward becoming more and more bizarre as the show progresses. The show will conclude with the puppeteer's death, or after 4 to 11 individuals are killed, at which point the puppeteer will begin removing the puppets and ask, "Did you enjoy the show?" and receive as a response from all surviving audience members, "Yes, Professor." A show concluded in this manner will negate 764's ability to mentally influence individuals from anywhere for 11 to 26 minutes. Addendum, Incident Log 23B. This containment breach occurred when a disposable dude in the process of moving 764 opened the crate containing it. The door to Hazard Vault MT was immediately sealed and locked. A recording device was brought in after approximately 2.5 minutes to record the remainder of this incident. They laugh. "That's ridiculous. You're so..." "Oh no, he's sick. We have to operate." "But Punch, you're not a doctor." "Has that stopped me before?" One brandishes a scalpel about half its length, begins humming to itself as it cuts into the dude's throat, who seems to be stifling a laugh. One reaches into the incision and fumbles around before grabbing onto something and tugging. "I think I've got it! There's something in his throat! We'll save you yet!" 2 shakes its head. 1 pulls out the hyoid bone and shakes it in the air triumphantly. "Told you I could do it!" "He needs that, you idiot!" 2 begins hitting 1 with a tiny rolling pin. Disposable dude makes a noise that may be laughter. "Ow! Stop it! I'll fix him! You'll see, woman!" 1 puts the scalpel back into the incision and begins sawing the blade. After a moment, 1 reaches in and begins pulling as blood begins to spray. Approximately 4 inches of the carotid artery are pulled out of the wound. "That's the way to do it!" Both puppets slump to the ground as he collapses. Alright. And that brings us to the duck pond, which I'm willing to believe might be Keter, but it could also be safe because so far everything in here has been safe despite being terrible. Yep. So I think I'm going to title this one Safe and Terrible. 765 is to be isolated from the rest of Site-88 by a wire fence of at least 1.22 meters. Instances of 1 are harmless beyond this area, and 765's effects are negligible at this range. It is to be staffed with a rotating group of researchers and guards. These personnel are to be changed every 3 to 6 days to avoid suffering the detrimental effects of 765. Researchers who have been absent from it for at least a month may apply for assignment to it again. 765 was a duck pond discovered in the blank region of South Carolina in 1970-something. It appears to emanate an emotional effect causing what researchers have called serenity. Researchers, guards, and test subjects within the field of 765 report relaxed feelings, contentment with their life, and justification with their life choices. However, after 7 to 12 days, the shift becomes one of lethargy, apathy, boredom, and depression. Further shifts beyond this are currently being monitored, with test subjects disposable 02841, 02844, and 02851 having been in the effect for over a blank. Psychological reports on all these subjects are available at request with approval from Dr. G. Due to its relaxing nature, 765 is regularly assigned to researchers undergoing severe stress or lethargy. The effect does not appear addictive or mimetic in any way. Addendum 1. Unsurprisingly, several members of the Anatidae family showed up today, classified 1. While they do not appear affected by 765, staff have reported that a degree of jollity has been observed in participants and the speed with which the negative effect is reported seems to be diminished. Recommend further research with other species of waterfowl. Okay, so it sounds like they only get the lethargy and boredom if there are not ducks at the duck pond, but if there's ducks, everything's Gucci. That being said, that does it for this episode. This has been Anachi Sasuke. This is episode 162 of Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki, and that's when we're going to check out the human-shaped anomaly in space, crime scene photographs, long-range alarm clock, ancient encyclopedia, and nuclear slime. So, if you liked it, a like to subscribe will be groovy. If you didn't, you need to do either one of those things, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Later.